saga goes on because Luffy greatness just continues. Lucci got PTSD! Undisputable devastation. This man, Rob Lucci, is strong, but Luffy is just so much stronger, even though they're both awakened Zoan Dufru users, and it's just as clear as crystal that Luffy's growth rate compared to most of the characters in the story is just that much higher, that much more absurd. And it's only the beginning of the final saga. Rob Gooch had his moments for damn sure. Last episode, this episode, he was fantastic. Even in this episode, shouts to now Toshishida, who some folks online were yapping, flacking on for some ridiculous reason weeks ago. Here he comes, putting on a showcase in several dope scenes. Now Toshishida even had a scene where Rob Lucci punches Luffy up into the sky. Obviously, he gets Dawn whipped into oblivion, which was a great, fantastic scene for damn sure. But the fact of the matter is, even with that one hit extra that we don't see in the manga, doesn't mean nothing. Because the one hit that he could get on Luffy doesn't even compare to the 3 devastating blows Luffy gave him. Last episode's Mole Pistol was savage. This one, the Dawn Whip, Twinkle Toes, and then bop, sent him packing, and then the Dawn Rocket. Bro, Luffy is just unbelievable. He is a ferocious monster, and I'm looking forward, I really am, to seeing the future of the story. What are the zany, wonky, insane, Looney Tunes things that he's gonna do in the future? Now, this episode does have, I think, some weird things going on here and there. And I'll get to real soon, like things that are like a bit off. 2 in particular, like, hold on, what's going on exactly? It doesn't change the fact that the episode itself is a great episode. I would say like 8.5 out of 10. And if you agree, let me know with a boo, woohoo, or the thumbs up, and of course with a comment in the comment section down below. And I want to give some brief love here to the people that made this episode possible. So we have the direction, who's accredited to Wataru Matsumi. Then we have the art direction, which is accredited to Nagisha Nishida and Natsuki Takeda. Screenplay to Akiko Inoue. And some animators that were a part of the creation of this episode were Yi Pan, Anno, Levent, Eon, Tu Young-se, Yen BM, Wang Zuan, Cian, I think the X is the C. My Chinese ain't good. But once again, who was outstanding this episode was now Toshi, aka Go Toshishida. Even though he probably has no idea, there was a lot of Twitter online criticism against his art style, and no, ridiculous, madness. This episode showed once again why he is one of the best in the industry for damn sure. Also, a little more love to CD1, Jin Jaki, Azamo Ihabo, Moe Kaaraki, Yoshizaru Tomita, and anybody else that was a part of the creation of this episode of One Piece. Shoutouts to Tomita for making that one ear scene of Luffy. That ear scene had me rolling. And if you don't believe me, check it out on my Patreon, first and foremost. Uploaded later to the Cole Plus YouTube channel, and now on the Cole San reaction channel, edited. Lucci, I'm gonna... Yo, cooked, man. They did a great job with the animation version of chapter 1070. However, there are a few things that are a bit wonky. Number one, there is an anti-Luffy agenda that you see online a lot of times, because folks just can't handle the Nika madness, the Monkey D's greatness. They just can't handle it. So a lot of times they try and downplay Luffy's moments, which, again, everyone's got their haters, especially when you're that successful. Rob Lucci did get up after a few minutes after he was knocked out. Now, to be fair, I thought it was gonna be like a way long period of time, because I think it was implied in the manga that there was stuff going on with Kaku and company, because Kaku was like on top of Sidorov for like no reason. Looks like according to the anime version of that, not the case. Though it's not the 32 seconds that they preach. That's also proven factually false. Given the actual time frame of the episode itself, it's like 4 minutes. Though, I will say this, Lucci was getting patched up already before Sentomaru passes out. Who patched up Lucci? Because this right here kind of changes the game somewhat, and arguably adds context to why Rob Gucci could bounce back so quickly after a few minutes of being down, because he was being patched up off screen. So if he wasn't being patched up off screen, would he have gone back up so quickly? Delicious. Arguably, it's Hattori. A lot of folks are yapping about Hattori being the one to patch him up. During the Patreon stream, when I did my reaction to that originally, Rob Lucci was patched up by some anonymous, we don't necessarily know, off screen, Maybe it was himself, like he had bandages somewhere in his back pocket. I don't know. We get to see the goggle scene. And based on what we see, it's like a short little window of time. His hair does transform into the goggles. Okay, so there is a take out there where essentially when he does any weird Looney Tunes sort of like shenanigan, like where this thing come from, this object come from, it could all be his hair. Maybe. So in the future, when he pulls out a Shoyo Otani and starts to dun 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 dun, maybe the object came from his hair. That's possible. It's possible. But we see how the anime interpret that. It just could manifest too. We have no idea. But there were two other things that, honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you, they were irking me while watching the episode. So when Luffy sets up for the Dawn Rocket, in the manga version of this fight, 1070, Luffy, when he does the Dawn Rocket, it seems to be his right hand. But when he's winding up, it's his left hand. So when I read it for the first time, one of my assumptions was that Luffy went from his left hand, then that generated force went from his left to his right arm, and then he did the Dawn Rocket. Because you see in the panel, his left arm is back here because of all the momentum. In the anime, they keep it on the left arm. And the hook is radical. And the hook was pretty intense in the manga, but in the anime, he's going from his left arm and then he fires off, but it hooks around his body first and then yeets to Rob Lucci. Okay, so it's very strange and it's still epic. It's still a Kung Fu Panda skadoosh. Skadoosh. The applied heat effects to the attack were pretty damn cool, and I know a lot of folks are considering that it is a Red Hawk, Red Rock sort of attack, but as far as we know, that's not. And in the manga, there's no Haki there at all, but in the anime, they do add those effects. Luffy doesn't say red Dawn Rockets. The heat that's generated from, let's say, the Haki and so on, it's probably because of just the sheer force and speed of the attack generated that much heat to where his armor Haki was turning orange. I would say ultimately animator's choice, animator's preference. Just out for the Dawn Whip, which was like outstanding, where after now Toshi's moment, where he has Lucci punch Luffy into the sky, you do have that crazy Dawn Whip from like deep range, and then you have that sort of pause effect, you have the twinkle toes, and then you have the Actually, it was almost like the world. It was insane how you just seen the pause time, twinkle toes, and hit him again on like the rebound. So most of the force came from the rebound of the Dawn Whip. Whereas in the manga version, I don't like get that sense at all. But the main thing I have an issue with in this moment is obviously the left hand being the attack per se, not the right hand. It kind of actually reminded me of, let's say, what we saw in episode 1061 with Sanji piece, where Sanji's attack, the beat burst, the finale on Queen, it should be happening on the other side of the island. Not the left side where Zoro was fighting, but on the right side. Or I guess from their perspective, it'll be the left brain tower, not the right brain tower. Zoro's in the right brain tower fighting against King, Sanji on the left brain tower fighting against Queen. But the attack perspective is from the right brain tower. So the orientation was wrong. This was also a manga problem I had in chapter 1070. Luffy is able to grab onto the tubes that the vacuum rockets use to travel to the Fabrio lab area, to the Labo lab area. Those tubes should be pretty damn big, because we see later on in the episode, in that same chapter, where the entire group, including Alice and Jinbei, who are much bigger than regular sized Luffy, can fit inside one of the pods that travel inside of those tubes. And Jinbei and Alice are much bigger than Luffy is. But when Luffy hits it, he's bigger than the tube. So my understanding initially was that he was in still giant form when he actually had that moment before where he came out of the ground, which was a great moment. Like the Tasmanian Devil tornado. So damn good. And then he comes out of the hole, he looks like some sort of Cuphead boss. Oh yeah. And then when Too Young Sei did that stuff where Rob Lucci's kind of dodging, running around Luffy trying to track him with his eyes, outstanding. But from there, I kind of assumed that he was still in giant form when he was springboarding onto the vacuum tubes. But then when he passes Rob Lucci in that one moment, In the anime, Luffy is back to regular size. How can a regular size Luffy springboard on the vacuum tube after transmuting them with his powers and be bigger than the tube when the tubes themselves are big enough to fit Jinbei, Atlas, and himself in a pod? What? So basically, the size orientation is weird. It was weird in the manga, and I was hoping, let me emphasize that, hoping anime would fix that, but no. So essentially, either Oda got the action paneling mixed up, and then the anime also got confused as a result of that, or it's a vacuum rocket tube for pets. Episode was great for sure. Again, 8.5 out of 10, I loved it a lot. In terms of, let's say, the substance, we have the power reveals of the Paramecia and Logia compared to the Zoans that Vegapunk can actually manipulate, where Senor Pink isn't actually dead, but the green blood is taken from warlords, impaled down prisoners. The best fit, obviously, the Seraphim, their abilities, and that is extremely impressive. To make the green blood coursing through the Seraphim bodies, to have the power to make damage any Zoan, but he needs the time and resources, and also, can they awaken? The substance is there, the action is there, and so for the most part, 8.5 out of 10, worthy, for sure. But as a One Piece fan, show critic, and so on and so forth, I have a keen eye for this kind of stuff. It was weird for Luffy's setup for the Dawn Rocket. And the Dawn Rocket itself, it was the wrong hand, and it looked very funky. It for sure looked funky as hell. It was still cool, but it was funky. They did not like determine my overall rating for the episode. No, they did not. But now I need to hope for 2037. The One Piece Egghead Island version. I need hope for I'm hoping that they fix that up. I do. I want somebody to fix that up. Because to me, it's still weird as hell. He should, let's say, be in giant form on the tubes for the vacuum rocket, and then while he travels, he condenses down to regular form, and then hits him with the Dawn Rocket. That's what with the right arm. But you know what? Again, that's me nitpicking, but it was still, I noticed these things. Okay, well, this is kind of weird. So, I am done, BITCHING. Let me know your stance on the subject matter at hand for this outstanding episode of One Piece. It was a great show for damn sure. Once again, if you like my content, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and click on that bell to join the notification squad. I'm gonna catch you guys on the flip side.
See you. Bye-bye.